Blessings to all of you. My name is Joshua from Chosen Vessels, the Preacher's Channel. Today is 3/30/2019. In our previous presentation, we talked about fear and anxiety, and more importantly, we went over how Yahweh helps us cope with fear and anxiety in our lives, and what our approach should be when dealing with fear and anxiety. And here is a quick review of what we went over in our previous presentation. How do you say to fear in Spanish? It is temor, temor. And what is fear, the noun in Spanish? It is temer, temer, okay? And in modern Hebrew or in Israeli language, the word is pahad, pahad. And the Ave, the ancient Hebrew word for fear, is letter V, okay? We say von, von. It is exactly the drawing of something that is splintered or something that is detached or something that has no support, okay? So wherefore uh, fear or feeling anxious is the emotion we feel when alone, okay? When we feel as though cut off and detached, okay, having no support or vulnerable and no hope in sight, okay, we call it fear. I'm afraid, or I'm stressed, or I'm anxious, I have worries, I have many things to worry about. I feel as though I'm alone. I feel as though I'm cut off. I feel as though I have no support, okay, I'm all by myself, and we worry. And the question again is, how does Yahweh help us cope with fear? Of course, the verse is Isaiah 41 verse 10. He reassures us of his presence, and he speaks words of comfort, words of affirmation, okay? He reassures us of his presence, and he offers us support. In Isaiah 41 verse 10 we read, he says, quote, "Fear thou not, I am with thee. Be not dismayed, for I am thy Yahweh. I will strengthen thee, yea, I will help thee, yea, I will uphold thee with the right hand of my righteousness." Unquote. So such should be our approach in helping those who are dealing with anxiety and fear in their lives, to encourage them, to offer them support, to reassure them of our presence, of our being with them. And sometimes that's what we have to do for ourselves, to remind ourselves that we're not alone, that the Lord is with us, that the Lord is there with us to help us, so we don't feel all helpless and all broken off, because we have more value in his sight. And speaking of us having much value in the eyes of Yahweh, that is exactly why he is always seeking to make a covenant with us. And the word covenant is what we are going to take a close look at today. Covenant, the word that is closely related to the word covenant is to tie, a tie. And how do you say to tie in Spanish? It is corbata, corbata, okay? And a covenant in Spanish is pacto, pacto, okay? And unfortunately, there is no modern Hebrew, there's no word in the Israeli language for covenant, okay? The um, the substitute is protocol, protocol, okay? It is a borrowed word. And to tie in modern Hebrew is aniva, aniva, okay? The Yahweh, or the ancient Hebrew, is our field of study. And how do you say to tie in Yahweh? It is bla nu, okay? The BL and N, bla nu, okay? That's how you say to tie something. And the bla here is to tie, and the nu is the element, okay? So to tie something, something being tied. And the word covenant in the Hebrew is nu blah blah, which is a repeat of the verb, okay? Nu blah blah. So in nu blah blah, you have the B, the L, and the N. The B is the structure. I apologize here because flipping things around, I forgot to move this over. Okay, so the B is the structure, and the num is the element, and the lum, which is the shepherd, the staff, it stands for rule, a rule, to rule. Okay, so in a covenant, you have the element tied or held to the structure. Or a covenant is tying or holding an element to a structure, right? Holding or tying an element to a structure. So look at the application of a covenant, okay? In the in a biblical context, we have the three elements: the B, the L, and the N. Okay, the B here is the structure. The law, the rule or the restraint, is the rope. Okay, and the N is the element. Okay, here the dog is the element. So without a covenant between the element and the structure, the dog will wander off and it might get lost. So in a covenant, someone is making sure that the element is kept safe. Look at the second example of a covenant. Here again, we see the structure and the law, the restraint or the rule. Here is the rope or the string, and the element is the kite. So a covenant is this setting within which an element is held to a structure so that it does not get lost. So what happened to Israel, to our people, when the covenant was broken, when the structure was broken, when they they began to disregard the rules, right, which were set in place by Yahweh himself to protect them, right? They began to wander off. They got lost. They were dispersed. And in this third example of being in a covenant, okay, you see the structure, the man, and the rule or the restraint is him holding the element, the sun, okay, the seed, by the hand, which is the same here in this image. So in a covenant, the people were held by a set of rules. Okay, Yahweh himself was holding the people by their hands with what? By rules and with rules and with restraints, with precept, with command, to keep them safe so that they don't get lost or they don't begin to wander off aimlessly. So the setting of these three elements being present, the element, the rule, and the structure, is called a covenant, or to be in a covenant. And again, here is another example of what it means to be in a covenant. And the but here again is the structure, okay? And the elements here are what? The sheep, okay? And the law here, the rule, the shepherd staff, is the shepherd himself sitting here, okay? If you look closely, you'll see the shepherd staff. There is the shepherd sitting at the entrance of the sheepfold with his staff in his hand. And then in another example, you have the duck here is the structure, and the strings here, if you can see it, the strings are the rules, okay, the restraints, keeping the boat from being from drifting away by the wind. And the boat here is the element. So the seed or the element, and the law or the strings or the restraint plus the structure is the covenant, keeping things where they are supposed to be. And now look at these examples of something that is not in a covenant. Okay, a sheep by itself, not in a sheep pen, and there is nothing holding him or protecting it. He is not in the covenant. He can be easily prayed over. Someone or a wild beast can come and take advantage of it, and the sheep is not sheltered. He or it is all by itself. So to not be in a covenant is to be by yourself. The Lord is not protecting you. You see, anything can happen to you. People will take advantage of you. And look at this second example. This is a kite without a restraint. Okay, it is stranded, it is caught in a tree. So without a covenant, living outside a covenant can leave you stranded, and you are stuck. You lose motivation altogether. And the third example on the page is a boat but on the water by itself. Okay, it has no restraint. It has nobody in it to guide it. It is not in a covenant. It is blown to and fro by the wind. It is left for the wind. It has no guidance. It has no direction. That's what it means to not be in a covenant. I have briefly talked about this previously, but what happened to our people when the covenant was broken, when the rule or the precepts that were meant to keep them safe and at home were disregarded. Okay, they went into in diaspora. They were scattered everywhere. They were carried away by the wind. Their protection was broken, and Assyrians came in and Babylonians came in, and we were taken into captivity to this day. All right. And speaking of remaining in covenant, in covenant with Yahweh, Jesus says in John 15 verse 4, abide in me and I in you, as the branch cannot bear fruits of itself except it abide in the vine. No more can ye except ye abide in me. And in Deuteronomy chapter 4 verse 25 to 27 we read, quote, when thou shalt beget children and children's children, and ye shall have remained long in the land, and shall what? Corrupt yourself, and make a graven image or the likeness of anything, and shall do evil in the sight of the Lord thy Yahweh, to provoke him to anger. When we begin to disregard the law or the rules set in place to protect us, Prophet Moses says, I read on, quote, I call heaven and earth to witness against you this day, that ye shall soon utterly perish from off the land whereunto ye go over Jordan to possess it. You shall not prolong your days upon it, but shall utterly be destroyed. And the Lord shall scatter you among the nations, and ye shall be left few in number among the heathen, whither the Lord shall lead you. Unquote. And Ecclesiastes 10 verse 8 reads, quote, and whoso breaketh an hedge, a serpent shall bite him. Unquote. Wherefore, a covenant between us and Yahweh is not a handshake between us and him, as though an agreement to become friends, as is generally believed, but rather a covenant. Okay, the ba, the la, and the na, nu, blah blah, the blah nu is it implies to abide in his commandment, in the commands of Yahweh, is to abide in the sets of rules, in the regulations or the restraints set in place for us by Yahweh himself, within which it'll be impossible for us to get carried away, or to get lost, or to become a prey or food for others, or to be taken advantage of by others. In other words, within Yahweh's covenant, we are strong as a people. In a covenant with Yahweh, we are strong individually. See, to covenant with Yahweh is absolutely the right thing to do. To remain in covenant with Yahweh is absolutely the right thing to do. And one may ask to know, who is Yahweh? Who is the Lord? Yahweh says in Hosea chapter 2 verse 16, quote, and it shall be at that day, saith the Lord, that thou shalt call me Ashi, okay, Ashi, and shall call me no more Bali. So Ashi, the I here is the Greek rendering of Yashi. Okay, in the Greek language, the Ya does not exist, so the Ya was substituted with I. So Yashi is the Ya is the short for Yahweh, and the Sha or the Sa is the short for the arm. Okay, so Yashi is the arm of the Lord, the arm of Yah. He says that in those days, in our days, when the prophecy is fulfilled, we will call him Yashi, and Yashi is the arm of the Lord. In Yashi have the root consonant I and S, Ashi, or Isus in Ukrainian, or the Ya and the Sha, yes, Ya and the Sa, Yesu. And you have the in Italian, the Ya was substituted with a J, and instead of Yas, the Ya and the Sa, they say Jesus, Jesus. Similarly, the French say Jésus, all from the root consonant, the Ya and the Sa, Jesus. And in Arabic, it is the I and the S, okay? The I and the S. Isa, they say. And in the English, it is the J and the S, okay? The J, S, Jesus, okay? It became Jesus. Or in modern Hebrew, it is the Yeshua, okay? Modern Hebrew, Yeshua. Or in Japanese, it is Yasu, okay? Ya and the Su, the Ya and the S, Yasu. So Jesus is the arm of the Lord. So to be in covenant with Yahweh is to come in covenant with Jesus, the arm of the Lord. We have more videos like this one coming to you soon, so please stay tuned. And there are other important details available in the description box of this video, and be sure to check it out. And thank you in advance. My name is Joshua from Chosen Vessels, the Preacher's channel. Thanks for watching, and until next time.